My name is Shannon Stowell. I'm the CEO of the Adventure Travel Trade Association. We're based in Seattle, Washington, and we have members in around 100 countries around the world. Responsible tourism, that's a big question because there are so many aspects to responsibility, but I think that the two main ones that I think are the most critical right now are environmental, and that could be anything from climate to habitat loss to wildlife protection. And then the second one would be the human side, the cultural, indigenous tourism, working with local communities, making sure that there are people that are not left out of the equation. Well, I think that the number one challenge is it's easier to be irresponsible. So it's easier to go the cheapest route, to go cutting corners. I think that's the number one challenge. The second, I think, is education. I think there are a lot of people that would like to do better and be more responsible, but maybe they don't know exactly what that would look like. And then the third, I think, are governmental policies that are sometimes not as supportive of responsible tourism as they could be. So I think those would be the three biggest challenges. You know, a friend of mine is a Canadian ambassador, former Canadian ambassador, and he was involved in the Kimberley process to eliminate blood diamonds or diamonds that come from conflict zones. And his formula, which he shared with us at our summit in 2016, was very simple and yet incredibly difficult and complex at the same time. It's having the magic triangle of government, business, and NGOs all working together, looking each other in the eye and saying, we all agree on these things. We don't have to agree on everything, but here's the things we agree on, and then working to solve complicated problems. I'll give you an example of a situation that shows how complex it can be. In Rwanda, there's this location where the mountain gorillas live, right? Everybody knows about this. A local people group was displaced so that the park could be created to protect the gorillas. Well, that's good for the gorillas and actually critical, but that was bad for the people. It shows how complicated these situations can sometimes be. In this case, the Adventure Travel Conservation Fund is actually working to help build a village to help the displaced people have a new place to live near the park. But that just kind of shows how there's no quick, easy answer to some of these problems. But I think, you asked what can we all do? I think telling the stories of the good guys, showing who's doing it right, who's being responsible, and making it a good business, so that others see that and say, I can model after that. I can do that. I see how I can apply some of this learning to my own business. But I think without financial success, those stories will never really get told, because at the end of the day, you have to put food on the table, right? So nobody's gonna, no business that doesn't make money is ever gonna make much of an impact. To be honest, most people go on vacation to have fun, not for a social cause. So I think that's one of the other challenges, is that nobody likes to be preached at or made to feel badly about their decisions. And when they go on a vacation, they want to enjoy themselves. So I think our responsibility is to really help the good tour operators and good lodges, help them succeed at a higher and higher level and raise their stories up, show the stories so that they end up being the success stories. Because then other people say, well, I want to be like that. Well, if you want to be like that, you're going to have to do all these things to be responsible, to take care of your waste, to work with local people wherever possible, to protect wildlife, to be responsible and careful in what you do. So I think that's our job as the industry, is to really raise up the success stories. There are a number. One of my favorite is a company called I think it's Rivers Fiji. It's in Fiji, and there was a timber company that came to the local tribes and offered them a sizable amount of money to cut down all the trees on their land and ship it off for foreign markets. And there was a rafting company that was rafting the river that ran right through this land, and they got wind of it. And they went and met with the 13 tribal chiefs and said, let's talk about this, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to get that money once, and then it's gone. You know, whatever you do with that money, it probably won't last. Your trees are gone forever. They ended up negotiating a buffer zone. I don't remember the exact amount, 300 meters from the river, something like that. And the chiefs agreed. So that rafting company has trained and employs local people, and they give money for every rafter that goes down the river. The money goes to that tribal council, and now there are the corridors of trees protecting the river. Because if you cut down all the trees, the banks erode, the river is destroyed. So that's one of my, I love that story. There are many, many stories out there. This situation in Rwanda, where one of our members has a lodge. So he's employing locals. Not only that, he's employing both Hutus and Tutsis. So post-conflict, his staff has people on both sides of the big conflict in the region. And they're protecting the guerrillas. So they're actually doing an incredible job, both on the environmental and on the human side. Well, I think, you know, every journalist out there, I hope, is paying attention to where travel is going. You know, honestly, in many cases, I'm not a cheerleader for tourism. When World Tourism Day comes, I don't cheer, because tourism in many ways is very, very destructive and is very exploitative. However, there is a model, and it's called responsible tourism. Adventure tourism is that's the lens we see it through. And so I think that organizations like yours, Kunzum, other print magazines, online, no matter who's telling the story, I hope the story more and more gets told. Tourism can be done right. It can protect people and the planet and still make good money. Well, with companies and journalists and governments, we have very clear roles for every one of those. For travel agents, anybody that's a professional in the travel trade, we have a spot for you. We're doing a lot of work with all those different types of organizations. For individuals, I would say our website shows a lot of responsible tourism companies. Adventure.travel, www.adventure.travel is the URL. And they can find a lot of responsible companies on there. Next time you're thinking of taking a trip, check it out. You might find something that's just right for you. And then for anyone who's interested, the Adventure Travel Conservation Fund is really working hard, and anybody of any size, any company or individual that wants to be involved can be, and can help us fund more incredible protective projects around the world. This is a company making a product. It's a bottle filter. It's called Grail. It's out of Seattle, and it's actually very simple. You just pull the inner chamber out. You can dip water out of almost any source and press down, and you have fresh, clean, drinkable water. So I drank out of the Ganges as a test this last week, just to say I trust this product. I'll admit I was a little scared. I'd be scared to drink out of any river, and I am fine. And I walked out of it feeling absolutely great. The bigger reason, I mean, apart from being very convenient and easy to use, is that we're eliminating single-use plastic water bottles, because that is also, unfortunately, a plague for the planet right now. Waste plastic is killing a lot of wildlife, is ruining a lot of sources of water. So we're just trying to reduce our usage, and this is one of the tools. Life Straw is another one. There are many, Steripen, and I'm sure there are probably 50 other companies. These are the ones I'm familiar with. But I love my Grail. I take it wherever I go now when I travel. So, as you think about daily choices, whether it's food and thinking about eating more healthy or organic or locally sourced, think about your vacation the same way. How do you choose a vacation that is freshly picked, that is organic, that is good for you, that is good for everybody around you? It can be done. And actually, those tend to be the companies that have the most incredible experiences anyway. Those will transform you.